In light of recent events after MSI, TSM, the team has been brought into question because they didn't get the results that everyone thought. People had them pegged as maybe first or even second place. I think a special said that they had like a 70% chance of getting into the top two. So getting out of group stages was like a given. People already thought, TSM looks like maybe the strongest Western team we've ever had because, we've always had this Chinese and Korean dominance over the Western regions. Chinese with this brute force, aggressive style, and Korean with the calm, controlled, objective focused style, whereas the Western scene, the EU and the NA scene's more about just chaotic brawling, win lane, win game, or well, it used to be around in season 2. But after MSI, Europe beat TSM, which was kind of a shock to most people. People were blaming it on the Cassiopeia cheese pick. Not sure I agree with that because that's been played in the EU LCS before. I'm sure the teams watch it because they've got to study their opponents. Cabo Shard of Gambit, I think he was the first to bring it into the LCS. I do believe there was a couple of people in Challenger maybe trying it out. Probably theory crafting that it might be pretty good against some matchups. It's kind of a bully lane, but if you get the ganking help when you're against Cassiopeia, you kind of shut that lane down. And we didn't see that from TSM. They got crushed by the Cassiopeia. Huni, one of the best top laners at the moment. I mean, definitely in Europe. Maybe he made a case for himself for maybe one of the best top laners at MSI. His main competition was Koro and Marin, and honestly, he kind of crushed Marin. I mean, yeah, I think he legitimately beat Marin in lane, which was like a huge shock to people because people had Europe pegged as this, 5th place team. They probably weren't going to even get out of the groups. TSM was the Western hope. They had the European, the Korean, and the Americans all working together in one team for some Western greater good to try and elevate the region out of its previous standings in the world, trying to get rid of this Korean dominance because of the great Chinese exodus, I'm going to call it, like it's some sort of history event. Like, basically, if you didn't know, I don't know why you'd be watching an esports video about MSI if you didn't know this, but all the Korean players went from the Korean region because they were paid by the Chinese team owners to move over and join the teams, and they've done very well. You see EDG, you have the Season 4 world champion Pawn in the mid lane on their team, and they have Deft from Samsung Blue, and there's a bunch of other Samsung players. They're really strong Korean teams. You have like Mata on what is it? Vici Gaming with Vasily from LMQ. That's kind of a weird bot lane. You have LGD with Imp on ADC and Acorn top. But anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. Basically, what I wanted to say was this MSI was a huge disappointment. TSM got out of they didn't get out of groups. They didn't perform like everyone thought they were going to perform. And people were kind of coming close to the realization that maybe leaving Dyrus to die top wasn't the best strategy. Now this brings me to my next point, which may seem weird, but TSM's kind of turning into CLG. Now, bear with me now. So let's have a look at each of them separately. TSM, hyped up, they're going to do great. They're going to, they're one of the best Western teams, and they're going to, do really well. And then it comes to performing, and they just crash. And the players themselves said this is the best roster of TSM there has ever been, and that is really similar to CLG, where they said that this is the best roster that they've ever had. The parenthesis golden age team, that this is the best CLG team, and then they crash and burn. And, you kind of just, and then, the CLG tactic is, we've crashed and burned. Let's replace the players. So we have this kind of connection between the two top laners. Back in Season 4, they had Seraph in the top. Now, he was quite famous because, he was this really good 1v1 duelist who could play, he played Bruiser Nidali top, and he played the champ, and then everyone was like, oh my god, he's gonna duel people, he's gonna be the best top laner in NA. And they put him on tanks, and he kinda didn't do anything, and, Dexter and Seraph didn't really have the synergy, and he didn't gank top, apart from that one game where he sat top for 10 minutes against, who was it? Cloud9, I believe. I think it was either Cloud9 or Curse, because Curse beat them in 2014, where he just sat top and nothing happened. And Seraph got a lot of flack from the community because they were like, oh, he's not doing enough. How can he do anything? Like, he's not getting any pressure. You're putting him on tanks, and he's not being able to carry your team because you're putting him in a position where he has to protect the ADC, protect the double lift. Now, this is kind of connected to TSM because at the moment their strategy is mid-focus, Bjergsen, get him ganks, Darius doesn't matter. In a way, I don't want to go too hard on that point because, but it is one of their fatal flaws. You see, they ban 6 top laners, and Darius just gets shafted onto these champs. He doesn't have the best mechanics on. Darius isn't a mechanical player. He's more of a, team fighter. He's very good at knowing when to roam and that sort of stuff. But he was cited for his gameplay because he was pushed up in the lane with no vision, and he was just dying and dying over and over again. But really, can you blame him? Because, Santorin, even though it's not his fault specifically that the Darius wasn't calling for the ganks, he didn't go up there himself. He didn't help him, It's not Darius's responsibility to ward the entire top side of the map. Santorin's jungle path thing, he could have positioned himself close to the top side, put some vision down, and Darius would have been able to safe farm. If they put some more pressure, at least in the early game, on Darius himself, then it could have been a lot cleaner. Their only strategy at the moment seems to get Bjergsen ahead, and honestly, this tournament he wasn't getting ahead. He should have been on a heavy carry champion like LeBlanc or Zed, but he was just playing this Cho'Gath, and it really wasn't working out for him. And they lost because of it. After that Cassiopeia game where he went on tilt, they lost every other game, and Now, another point that brings me to is that, going back to the point actually of CLG, they change their players, they changed the Seraph obviously went, and they brought in Scawn, who's a very strong top laner, but they brought a new coach as well, and again this year things didn't go so well. Playoffs, they lost to Team Liquid. They lost to Curse basically again. They did exactly the same thing. Xpecial's a robot made to destroy CLG, but and then Hotshot makes this post again where every time CLG fails, Hotshot makes this post like, things need to change, guys. I won't let you down. Things are going to change, and they do change. To credit to him, they do change. He changes the players, he changes the coaching staff. He doesn't fix the problem though. This is the problem, because people may be calling for a roster swap or something, because Loco Doco also put out a tweet saying, things need to change, I'm sorry for our performance. And it's very similar to this CLG kind of style of changing things. But, I'll put the Twitter links in the description, but I think teams are very quick to change rosters and to change coaching or analytical staff, but the main problem is actually changing the way the players think and play the game. You need to get Darius to call for ganks, you need to get Santorin to change his jungle path, and you need to get him to change his warding You know, he needs vision of the top side of the map. You can't put it all bottom. And Wild Turtle kind of gets he kind of gets left out of this as well, because Lust Boy, he goes and ganks for Bjergsen, and then Santorin goes and ganks for him. So Dyrus is on the island of top, and Wild Turtle's on the island of bot farming, and they're expected to look after themselves. And so I've seen Wild Turtle this event. He was like solo killed in lane because he was just by himself farming, you know, trying to just get some farm to try and be relevant against double Cinderhulk tanks, where he's not really going to do anything. And TSM just failed. I mean, as simple as that. You know. Now you can see this real big, you know, sorry, I just lost my train of thought. CLG and TSM are very similar, where they've kind of, you know, they've been getting people to give, oh my god, they've been trying to get people to, they've hyped people up that they're going to win. Sorry. They've hyped people up, but they can't perform on this, and it's not the fault of the players or of the coaches or anything. It's because of the way they think about the game. They need to make sure every lane is doing well, and to have multiple strategies. It's not just focusing on mid. I know CLG, you know, they don't put that much priority on Link, maybe more to the bot lane, maybe more like getting double lift on the champ that he needs, but they really just need to, you know, think about the game as a whole rather than players or rosters or coaches. The changes need to come from within the team and a team environment. So yeah, before I lose my train of thought again, I've been Ship Race, and I'll end the video there.